BlackRock Bitcoin ETF. Mike Novogratz, he's the head of a famous venture capital firm and investment company working in the digital space called Galaxy Digital. Well, his sources working with Invesco and working with BlackRock have been releasing some rumors to him. Now, this is pretty interesting. According to contacts from inside BlackRock and Invesco, the approval of a Bitcoin ETF is when, not if. When, not if. So there's still a lot of people out here who are thinking that BlackRock's not going to get it. The SEC is still going to be the SEC. They're going to shoot it down. Now, they might delay it. I fully expect some delays to come in here. But to see them completely shoot it down, BlackRock doesn't like being told no. Gary's going to be in trouble. Gary Gensler, the head of the SEC, he'll be in a bit of trouble if he tries to play too much hardball with BlackRock, right? We'll see how that plays out. But insiders are saying, now is it all PSYOPs? Who knows? It can always be PSYOPs. But insiders are saying that, yes, we're going to get a Bitcoin ETF approved and that it could be 4 to 6 months away. Now, those are some very interesting timelines. Of course, we have the ARK Bitcoin ETF that's coming up in a few days for the deadline. The SEC is probably going to kick the bucket down the road on that, which brings the ARK Bitcoin ETF down to December. The other ETFs, they've mostly got their first deadlines coming up in October, or is it mid-September? Coming up soon, regardless. So not that far away. But 4 to 6 months, it's an interesting timeline because 4 months from now, end of the year, essentially, not a lot's going to be going on. Everyone's going to be paying attention to everything else. Christmas is coming. Thanksgiving was just here. You got to buy the presents. And then blammo, Bitcoin ETF approved. That would be like throwing a hand grenade into a bucket full of monkeys, man. It'd be a real crisis for the markets in a good way. Things would explode. It'd be a wild situation. The 6-month timeline, though, that becomes even more compelling because if a Bitcoin ETF gets approved in 6 months' time, that's about February, approximately, let's say, late January, February sometime, then it doesn't start trading the next day. It needs probably 4, 6, 8 weeks to actually start trading. And guess what's in April? The Bitcoin halving, baby. The outer end of this estimate from inside sources at Invesco, at BlackRock, who are leaking this information out to Mike Novogratz, have said it could be up to 6 months. That's what we're hearing from the people that we're talking to at the SEC. That lines up with the Bitcoin halving. I mean, it's like the stars are aligning for a mega pump for Bitcoin. Pretty crazy stuff when you start to think about it. Now, of course, on the back of this news, Bitcoin got a little bit excited today. Didn't do too much, of course, but we got a little bit of excitement here for Bitcoin. We did see the price come up to $30,000, get smacked back down at the time of recording, of course. We'll see how that continues to play out. Nice news is we're back above the 50-day exponential moving average for the time being. We know these reversals can come in pretty hot and fast, as we saw, for example, back here on the 1st of August, where we had a nice breakout and then slammed right back down. Basically, Bitcoin's still completely stuck in a range here. We haven't actually seen Bitcoin do anything super exciting since June 21st. We've been stuck in a range for Bitcoin since June 21st. We're on the lower end of that range right now. Well, we're actually dead square in the middle, but yesterday we were on the lower end of that range, and the current price of Bitcoin is basically the median price that Bitcoin has been at for months. This is a boring market. This is a boring market right now, but it's not going to remain like that forever. When the Bitcoin ETF gets approved, and according to sources at BlackRock and Invesco, it is going to get approved. It's not a question of if it's going to approve, simply when it's going to be approved. When that happens, hold on to your butts, because a lot of money is going to come in. Remember, $20 to $30 billion. Those are the estimates that we're looking at right now. And that is enough money to buy up hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin. So you cannot tell me that is not going to move the price. If you're buying Bitcoin right now, you are front running the Bitcoin ETF approvals. So just keep that in mind. They will come. They will come. Whether Novogratz is getting the right information or not, hard to say. Again, could all be psyops. But I remain bullish on the potential for TradFi, traditional finance, to get aped into Bitcoin. Tom Dunleavy shared this chart. The loss of Alameda, Jump, and other big market makers is being felt. So we had Jump. We covered this a few months ago. They left U.S. markets because of the SEC regulatory scene. And volume has been so low for months. Shockingly low volume. This is like the situation where essentially it's dead as a doornail right now. I don't know why doornails are dead necessarily. I haven't really fully understood the dead as a doornail saying. Maybe I should look that up online later. Anyway, it is dead as a doornail right now. And it's pretty crazy. It just feels like we're in the eye of the storm, right? We had all the chaos and carnage of 2022, some exciting things in early 2023, and now nothing's happening. I know there's still some money on chain being made. We talk about those narratives. We're going to talk about those narratives. But Bitcoin, it's been pretty quiet, man. Pretty quiet. How you guys doing out there? Let me know. Let me know if you're still bullish on Bitcoin. Bullish from the bottom, bullish from the lows. Curious to hear your thoughts as always. Chris Berniski sharing this. Currently, tourists are inactive, while residents are accumulating swiftly, owning 74.8% of all the supply of Bitcoin. That's pretty interesting. That's consistent with an early stage bull market. 30% of BTC has left exchanges for cold storage since 2020, leaving exchanges with just 2.2 million Bitcoin. It's pretty interesting. It's an interesting time to be here. And if you are here having this conversation with me, talking about crypto, you are the exception. People at the top in 18, 24 months' time, when all the tourists come back, they're going to be buying everyone's bags who's here right now. If you remember to sell, of course. Don't cheat yourself out of intergenerational wealth, guys. Remember to click the sell button at some point. But the tourists are not here. When the tourists come back, volumes will pick up, things will go crazy. We'll be in the new paradigm of money phase again right now. But right now, it's basically just the hardcore people, the long-term believers, the users of the technology. And again, the 2022, 2023 bear market, wildly, dramatically different compared to the 2018, 2019 bear market. So much busier these days. So it's pretty exciting. Now, before we get into the rest of the story here on the Bitcoin ETF, if you are a trader and get yourself an account over at BYBIT, it is the best place for trading crypto. If you want to trade futures, they got you covered. Huge futures markets. You want to trade exotic spot altcoins or just the most popular spot altcoins, they got you covered. You want to do copy trading, you can do that too. Very popular copy trading service over on BYBIT. And if you use the link down in the description, you'll get exclusive fee discounts as well as exclusive deposit bonuses up to $30,000. So check it out if you are a trader. Now I want to share this one here. This is from Andrew at Ape Abacus on Twitter here, always sharing rumors of what's going on. There's a possibility that the Grayscale decision comes before any other spot Bitcoin ETFs are approved or not. So right now, Grayscale has been fighting the SEC in court, arguing that there's no reason that they can't turn their Grayscale Bitcoin Trust into a Bitcoin ETF. Now, if the courts agree, if the judges agree with them, that is basically a bitch slap to the SEC, who will then be forced to play their hand. The Bitcoin ETF approvals could even come sooner in this situation. But until we see that happening, can't get too excited. But there's a lot of rumor that this could be happening sooner than later, maybe the next few weeks even. And if that happens, then we're going to see the Ethereum futures ETFs getting approved. I think the market's basically assuming that's definitely going to happen right now, because we had 13, 14 filings for Ethereum future ETFs in the past 2 weeks. So we'll get Ethereum futures ETFs. They're derivative products. They're paper. They're garbage. They're trash. I don't like them. I'm not excited about them. They're not really going to do much for the market. They might get people a little bit excited, maybe. But I'm not excited about them. I don't think there's any reason to be excited about Ethereum futures ETFs. What I'm excited about is spot ETFs, because spot ETFs gives people real access to the real assets, not the paper garbage that Wall Street can manipulate, which is interesting. As this guy points out, lots of softening within the SEC on these products, mostly based on the fact that they ran off of traditional finance rails. See, this is what a lot of it comes down to. This is why we think the SEC is going to approve a Bitcoin ETF and eventually an Ethereum spot ETF, because it lets traditional finance, BlackRock, JP Morgan, the NASDAQ, all these kind of players have a major stake in the game, whereas others will get pushed out. Remember, this is some mafia crap here. These big Wall Street banks, they crush competition. That's why they're part of the reason why they're going after Binance. Now, Binance has actually committed any crimes that'll come out, of course, in court cases, but let's assume that they haven't. And this is all just Wall Street trying to play some Machiavellian games and crush their competition. They want to control the markets. They understand the market's going to get bigger. They understand crypto is going to multi-$10 trillion market cap at some point. They want to control that. They want to be the ones making the money off that. Interesting. This guy here speculating that Grayscale is going to win their lawsuit and that insiders, some people already know. Some people already know. That's why we saw the price of Bitcoin spiking today, not off of Novogratz's rumors, but actually off of insiders getting an early taste that, hey, actually, Grayscale is going to win the case. We're going to see a Bitcoin ETF sooner than a lot of people think. Interesting as well. I want to share another chart from Stock Money Lizards. No, we love Stock Money Lizard charts around here. This is a nice bit of hopium, which actually basically corresponds to previous market cycles. So we have our Bitcoin halving, and I've shared similar charts. I just like the way this one's laid out. Basically, we've had our bottom. We're going through the accumulation phase right now for Bitcoin, leading into the halving. Do not expect a new all-time high. Now, there's the potential that a Bitcoin ETF gets approved. Markets get mega bullish. 20 billion rushes into Bitcoin within a few weeks' time. Bada bing, bada boom. Bob's your uncle, Fanny's apparently your aunt, and the price of Bitcoin goes to an all-time high before the end of the year. That's possible. But if these insider rumors are true, we don't get a Bitcoin ETF approval for 6 months. Maybe we're in a recession at the time, so people aren't as excited about aping into Bitcoin. Then we get the Bitcoin halving later in 2024. That's when price really starts to take off, et cetera, et cetera. All possibilities on how we could predict, forecast how things could go for the price. 2025, early to mid 2025, if previous cycles are any kind of indication on how things may or may not go, would be a peak price for Bitcoin. Now, this particular chartist gives us a peak up to maybe even $250,000 for Bitcoin, which would not blow my mind, but I'm not going to try and get wedded to these sort of price predictions. Made that mistake last time. Should have taken more money off the table, but I was convinced Bitcoin is going to 100K, and we all make mistakes. Sometimes we get overly bullish, right? So I'm going to try not to get too caught up in the 250K or the 300K calls this time. I think if Bitcoin get to 150 to 180 this cycle, I think that's a pretty damn big move, to be honest. I think it becomes an interesting place where you look at the markets and say, I might want to start taking some money off the table, whether it gets up to 250K at a blow off or not. And you got to remember, blow off tops, if we get a blow off top, or even just cycle peaks, they last for such a short time. Look back at all the previous cycle peaks for all the major assets. You had maybe 10 days to sell at peak prices in the last cycle. There's no orderly exit from the markets. Things are chaotic. Things are insane. Greed overtakes your mind. The lizard brain turns on and says, bet more, bet higher. Your net worth's going to double next week. Been there, done that. We all get caught in that trap in markets. It's hard to resist the temptations of markets when things are really exciting. But that is why we also need to have plans about how we're going to approach the market to try and have more reasonable forecasts for how things could play out, and also have a bear case in case things don't play out the way you want them to. for your assets, for your different investments. Some assets are safer than others. Some are less safe. Some might not make it the entire cycle. All these sort of things need to come into play when you start thinking about how you're actually going to be planning for the crazy times in the bull market. We're at the earliest stages of a bull market right now. Even if we get a US recession, that's probably not going to change the situation dramatically. I don't think that would send Bitcoin down to a new low. Always ready to be surprised, of course. But even if we get a US recession, it's probably not going to be like a new Great Depression sort of thing. I know there's still some ultra bears out there. New Great Depression's coming. Probably not. Probably going to be a mild recession if it does come, which could still give markets the ability to pump into late 2024.